Relax your body, relax your mind, and relax your breathing. Let everything to settle down itself and gently close your eyes and follow the sound, please. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So, dear Dhamma friends, before we start practice, I will explain how you have to go in this process. So, mainly we practice two mental cultures which we call Samatha and Vipassana. So, even though mostly we are more familiar with these words, and when it comes to meditation techniques, there are different techniques that we practice. Mostly, it has a different kind of way to take us for different destinations. So the very first thing that you have to remember when you sit, you have to know what you want. And because that itself brings you kind of clarity and confident to go with the practice. And after you sit for practice, if you allow that whatever happened, just let it happen and you just close your eyes and sit there, sometimes your own thoughts start to govern you and you start to take according to its own pattern. So then you miss the opportunity. So that's why you have to have some basic idea what you really want. So in this meditation practice, we mainly focus to the wisdom and the truth. That truth means not just depending in conventional knowledge or understanding. The truth exists as it is within ourselves, and to recognize who we are, who I am, what is this mind. So when it comes to that point, the very first thing in tranquility meditation, we need to make our mind usable to observe deeply how things come to be as they are. So for that purpose, in the beginning, just try to bring your mind to one point and develop that awareness with the primary mental object that you select. So here we're going to select our inhalation, exhalation. And when you observe your inhalation, exhalation, always remember, mostly when we come to meditation, we struggle with our mind. We fight with our mind to make it calm down. And then end of the meditation, you become more unhappy, unsatisfied, and sometimes you become more busy. The reason is, and sometimes the struggle that we keep going and thinking that by effort we have to bring this mind to calmness. And you cannot do like that way. Because mind has no structure, no pattern. Mind has no method. Only the method, whatever available, mind go with it. It doesn't have where that the unmovable, unchangeable, solid, permanent method to exist as mind. The same like water. Even though we can categorize water as a kind of entity, the shape or the pattern or the behavior, you cannot permanently introduce. It is like this because it has a different ways. It's always in a transformation. It's always in a journey. Your mind also the same. So first you have to understand that behavior. And then once you get the primary mental object, the important thing is you have to keep observe to the primary mental object, that is your inhalation, exhalation, and keep focus to the inhalation, exhalation. So sometimes when you get into meditation, now your primary mental object, inhalation, exhalation, rather than focusing to inhalation or exhalation, you start to look where your mind. And then you start to sometimes go with your mind. Remember, your consciousness, your awareness, your mind can have one thought at one time. So then, if your purpose is observing the inhalation, exhalation, in that very moment, that thought start to follow that. But this is what happened mostly. Once you sit for meditation, you start to look for thoughts. And that very moment, right away, you disconnect from the primary mental object. And then you look for the thought, disappointment, or maybe a struggle, and going here and there become more deeply stronger. Whenever you sit for meditation, rather than getting to the primary mental object, and you start to go with thoughts and look for thoughts and try to fight with thoughts, struggle with thoughts. So this is not a place, meditation or your sitting is not the method to wrestling with your thoughts. It doesn't matter whatever happened, just deeply have a kind of like a solid discipline yourself to stay to the primary mental object. Look for the inhalation, exhalation and wait. And if you are able to develop that wait, little by little, and you're not going to look where are my thoughts, what happened to my thoughts, why it's like this, why it's so busy. So rather than now you stay with that. Then your mind slowly getting to that, because mind has no options. The way the mind behave according to whatever available, the mind go with it. Whatever available in your consciousness, awareness, mind go with it. So if you sit with the struggle mind to hold your thoughts, then the mind go with the struggle. So that is a very deep place that you have to very clearly understand in tranquility meditation. So then remember, don't try to comment about mind, don't try to talk with the mind, don't try to argue or polarization, or don't try to, and to change anything. Just only thing is, your duty now, observing the inhalation, exhalation, and just stay there. Again and again. Sometimes you see mind already gone somewhere. Then No regret, no arguments, nothing. Just right away, come back and stay. Then you will see moment by moment, moment by moment, your mind going to be with the primary mental object. So from there, so how we go with the inhalation, exhalation, even because in the surface level, just seeing the inhalation, exhalation, not enough, because the mind has very nature. From our history, we have nature very easily, we get that kind of like a get into a pattern, get into a habit. So then you should not get into a habit with the tranquility state of observing the breathing. So how that it become a habit? Because now you observe inhalation, exhalation separately. This is inhalation, this is exhalation. And then, and sometimes once it become a habit, then what will happen? You become more comfortable with that until you die. Maybe you become more comfortable with the observing just the inhalation, exhalation. Observing inhalation or exhalation doesn't make any sense. It's not going to develop, it's not going to take itself, not going to take you to wisdom. So then moment by moment, effort you have to keep going with it. So then bring the more awareness, more deeply observe, and then you will see, recognize inhalation, exhalation separately, and then you see entire continuation of the inhalation, exhalation, the beginning, the middle, and end, entire breath body. Breath body means one inhalation or exhalation separately, you see the whole process. So it is there. Only thing you are able to see now. Why? Because you deeply observe. And not only that, then they are that's like same like the human. When we look at the people, 10 people, there are different tall people, short people, and heavy people, skinny people. So like that, the breathing, the same. So now you observe some inhalation become longer, shorter, heavy, soft, warm. Each and every inhalation, exhalation has its own method. Just see it. If you knew mind is somewhere else, don't try to worry about it. Bring it back, just calm, relax, go with it, following the inhalation, exhalation. So then the mind, the body, and the breathing with thoughts will settle down. Like water, how the water settle down when you don't disturb to it. So remember, don't wrestling with your thoughts. And then it become your attitude, sometimes mental attitude. And then what will happen in day-to-day life? You're going to struggle with things, people. Even that you look for tranquility state of the mind, but you get out of it with the completely opposite nature. So don't allow it to happen. So once you calm down, from there we go to Vipassana level. So in the Vipassana level, Vipassana means deeply observe. It's another way, just see. Simply just see without adding any thoughts. And that seeing should be complete, not half. And sometimes you see things, but you know you didn't see it completely. When somebody asks, did you see that? Yeah, I saw that. Then if somebody asks in details, you say, oh, I don't remember because I didn't see that much. But in the beginning, your statement was you saw it. See? In the Vipassana level, now you completely recognize. And then in that recognition, you completely have to see 100%. That itself, intention to see itself, bring the completion with your sitting. Because that is step by step itself, the mind going to go with it. Otherwise, there is nothing going to happen from outside. So as example, if you do half, then what will happen? That attitude going to develop with that. And then it's going to bring another result. So if you completely 100% observe, and that going to bring another result. So like that, the way you behave with your mind itself going to take you to the next level. So when you observe the thoughts, chittanupassana, contemplating the thoughts. So when you observe the thoughts, just recognize whatever the thought arise. Just see it. And don't add any thoughts, and don't comment, don't interfere with it, and don't try to change anything. And don't get don't grasping or hold it to that thoughts, because once the thought arise, if you don't grasping that whole thoughts, it will disappear. Then another thought come. If you hold it to that thought, then you bring more. So don't try to make reasons out of any thoughts. Just remember, this all the thought arise without any reason in the surface level. For the Patrick's point of view, there is another way that we can go, but for the Patrick's point of view in this very moment, just remember, simply just see this in any thoughts that you see. Don't try to make reasons out of it. Just take it as a thought and see what happened to it itself, without your invitation, without your request, without your hopes, without your prayer, without your waiting, it arises suddenly. You can see it. And you just thinking about maybe thought there is regarding meditation, suddenly there is a thought come, you driving. Or maybe suddenly thought come, you working. Suddenly thought come that maybe you are in a roller coaster. So like that. It come out without your invitation, because without your request. Because otherwise, if you can determine, okay, thought should be like this, but it's not going to happen. See that nature. Rather than getting to thoughts, just see the behavior of the thoughts. And then that itself arising and disappearing, arising and disappearing. And see it. And some thoughts arising and transform to something. Arising, transform to something without disappearing. It brings something else. Just see. And don't stay with one thought too long. Right away, see what's available next. What is available next. And then go with it. And without reacting, to just observe and see how things arising, transform, arising, transforming, arising, transform. So let's practice a little bit. In your right palm on your left, neck head straight in one line, and be comfortable with your posture. Bring your attention to your body and scan head to toes 3 times yourself. And say Supatveva, or may I be well and happy 3 times. Take a moment and think. We gathered here in this moment to practice this ancient meditation technique. All the Buddhas, all the enlightened masters followed this path and achieved wisdom. So we also gathered here to accumulate that knowledge. In this moment, with this sitting, may my body become more comfortable. May my breath be more smooth. May no difficulties come to me. May all the success come to me. Also, think for a moment. This is the last moment we're spending in this very lifetime. And detach your mind from all your past memories and as well as any kind of future thoughts. Just try to remain in the present moment, observing your thoughts. So, in the beginning, observe your body. Bring attention to the lower part of your body. Just see the sensation or any feelings, tightness, heaviness. Don't interfere with it. Just recognize. Bring attention to your lower back. And your upper back and shoulders. And your arms, elbow, forearms, palms, fingers, fingertips. In your chest and your abdominal area. And your neck and head. And bring attention to your whole body and feel your whole body as one. Bring your attention to in front of your nose and your upper lip area. Deeply inhale, exhale 3 times. And find the sensation with your inhalation, exhalation. And slowly observe that. Just allow everything to settle down itself. Do nothing extra, but just observe. This is inhalation, this is exhalation. Follow the entire continuation of the inhalation, exhalation. Observe deeply and see how inhalation, exhalation become longer, shorter, heavy, soft, warm, cold. And slowly let go the inhalation, exhalation. Just observe your thoughts. Just simply see it. Bring your attention to your body. Observe your posture. We cultivate loving kindness and compassion in our heart and radiate it as a light through entire your compound, village, city, state, country, world, around this universe. And as far as we can, through galaxies, other planets, stars, reminding yourself like this. Mentally repeat after me. May all living beings in this universe be well and happy. May everyone be happy and safe. And may their hearts be filled with joy. May all living beings live in security and in peace. Beings who are frail or strong, tall or short, big or small, visible or not visible, near or far away, already born or yet to be born. May all of them dwell in perfect tranquility. Let no one do harm to anyone. Let no one put the life of anyone in danger. Let no one out of anger or ill will wish anyone any harm. Expand your loving kindness and compassion beginning from your heart forward. Visualize yourself and send it as a light. Little by little expand the capacity to your backside, to your left side, and to your right side. Downward and upward. To all 6 directions at once, like the moon, the sun. Spread the light, spread the energy without any condition, without any limitation, without any resistance, or without any judgment. Let your heart to shine. shine with the loving kindness and compassion from the bottom of it, with the maximum effort to the highest. Wishing yourself, may all living beings in this universe be well and happy. Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, dear Dhamma friends, in this spiritual path, when we look for our salvation or the liberation or the wisdom, or when we develop the awareness, mainly we have two options, and mostly we knowingly or unknowingly we take these two paths. So the one is learning. So the learning part is important, and the learning about meditation, learning about awareness, learning about dependent origination is important in conventional life, because learning is a major part in our life. From childhood, we're trying to learn. So the learning leads us to doing. So what you learn always, it leads us to do. And when it comes to the vipassana level of understanding, I always mention this vipassana level because in conventional life, that what we see as vipassana, also sometimes it is conventional. But there is a deeper way we can understand it without the boundary line of the conventional knowledge. So the study is developed us to take us to hold it to this conventional category. So we study, we learn, and we do. So meditation also you can do like that way. You study meditation, then you do meditation. So when it comes to do, there is mainly that there is a subject and there is an object. So without subject and object, that doing part cannot happen. Without this dualistic theory or the mind, doing part cannot happen. So in day-to-day life, it's nothing wrong. But in the conventional life, nothing wrong that what we study, we have to do. But when it comes to the vipassana level of meditation or the practice or even day-to-day life, because remember the vipassana is itself does not the you sitting and closing your eyes and you practicing meditation. It is completely that different level of life. But that doesn't mean it is separate from, completely different from conventional. No, it is a kind of like a more advanced level of conventional. So when it comes to that vipassana level of understanding in day-to-day life, whatever that we experience, in that experience you have to deeply understand the rather than the point of view, or rather than the point of subject and the object, the mechanism of what is happening. So the study is always, learning always leads us to separate the subject and the object. This is me, and then I do this. This is me, I do that. But there is another way that you can gain the knowledge without studying, learning. That is self-awareness. So the self-awareness is mainly come to vipassana and samatha and vipassana level of practice. In conventional life, whatever you learn, it is okay, just keep it like that way. But remember, there is a way that you can learn things, you can understand things through self-awareness. It is totally different way of approaching to the understanding. So in meditation, rather than even though we talk like this, even though we listen like this way, yourself, you have to remember, rather than developing that conventional learning and doing part, learn to observing and to develop the awareness. So I come here not to tell you to learn and do. So you have to be very clearly understand that. I come here to tell you, observe and recognize. But we addicted to learn. We addicted to learn. We addicted to go with the others' opinion. We need other people's approval. And even we do something, sometimes we waiting for others to come and see it. It's in the conventional life, that is good, nothing wrong with it. But here we trying to go a little bit further, the beyond that level, because that conventional life is good for the samsara. But if you look for the nibbana, you have to find, applying the same method that you apply to samsara, you cannot apply to nibbana. So then you have to understand how it should be separate. The way, one way that you can separate this rather than learning and doing, learn to develop the self-awareness. So when you develop the self-awareness, so what is happening then mainly, when you study, when you learn, there are a lot of materials. So then you can go with that material. But when it comes to self-awareness, there's something you have to be very careful. What is that? So sometimes as your self-awareness, you believe your own mental projection. As your self-awareness, sometimes you see your own mental, emotional projection. So when it comes to the mental, emotional projection, or what you project inside your mind sometimes, and you see as reality. So then you see your mental projection, that the whatever the project inside your mind as reality, and then you observe that and recognize it as a self-awareness. So that is very risky part, because then because your mental, emotional projection, or the what you project in your mind is itself illusion. And that illusion, then later what is happening, you take as reality. And through you recognizing it as a self-awareness, and you take it as reality. So then it's kind of like inside the prison, you build up another prison. There's no escape for that. So that's why you have to be very clear that when you see something, are you see is as it is, or are you see your mind? It can happen dependent origination also. There are some teachers, there are some ways the books explain dependent origination as a separate entity. It's kind of like, as I mentioned from the beginning, study and doing. You can very well explain these outside things in according to dependent origination theory. But the thing is this, when you explain these outside things in according to dependent origination theory, that what you experience this outside, how you know it's a reality or it is a mental, emotional reaction happening in your mind. How you know that? Because we can experience things, and people have daydreams whole their life, from birth to death, some people, and live in a kind of like a dream. So if you take the dream as the reality, you are in a greater danger, because then you don't look for the reality anymore. Why? Because you take the dream as the reality. You take your mental projection or the creation as a reality. Then how are you going to find it? So that is why this samatha and that is the mainly different in the vipassana, because even in the samatha sometimes you come to a tranquility state, you don't recognize it. It also kind of like a result of mental, emotional process. But in the vipassana level, that is the only place that you can get out of it. That is the beauty of the Buddha's teaching. And before the Buddha, no one thought about it. Even no one talked about it. So then how are you going to recognize this? In the Vipassana level, remember, dependent origination or kind of like a cause and effect or causality is nothing to do with this outside what you experience with your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind as a separate entity. So in the very first thing that you have to remember, the causality or the cause and effect or the dependent origination, you have to recognize within yourself, within your own experience. You cannot do it by studying and doing. That's the thing. You can do it only by being. You cannot do it by doing, but you can do it only by being. Just be. When it comes to just be, you cannot have, I want to be. I want to attain, even when it comes to the practice, I want to attain to samadhi. I want to attain to nibbana. I want to attain to enlightenment. I want to gain the awareness. Just if you able to come to a point, just to be yourself, in that moment, if you able to 100% detach from doing, in that very being moment will uplift you to 100% awareness. That awareness is not kind of like a projection or the kind of like a come out of the dream. Because just to be, you have to be so kind of like the 100% available yourself. Even in the tranquility state, sometimes you're not going to experience that. So there are some countries when they I think Israel or somewhere, when they hear their national anthem, wherever they are, so they just stop and stay without moving. They don't do anything. They, wherever they are, they don't try to play. So no, they just wherever, even middle of the road, they just stay there. So that's a kind of like a technique that they develop. It's a very good technique that if you are able to understand the deeper, the spiritual mechanism of it. Because 1 second, one single moment, if you able to drop that, everything suddenly 100%. In that moment, you come out of this doing circle, because doing circle create current. That current is the habit. That habit is the samsara. So that's why you cannot stop doing part. Just try yourself. It keep happening. Even just you think you don't want to think and you just close your eyes, just do you think your mind going to calm down without no thoughts or anything? No. It's keep going. Why it happened? It happened because we keep doing it. So the doing part with the bodily, verbally and mentally action. And it bound to action, reaction, result, action, reaction, result, 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 and reaction, reaction. So why? Because it already, this doing part, we addicted to that and we go with it and we become more comfortable with that. But that the being part is completely different. So now remember, make it very easy for your study point of reference. If something related to doing part, it belongs to samsara. If you something to being part, that belongs to path of the Nibbana. So in day-to-day life, and try yourself, whenever you have opportunity, just be. So whatever the situation, don't try to make anything, and don't try to adjust, don't try to find a name. Just be. And then you will see something else happening. When the intention you have to just be, your consciousness, your awareness, your understanding separate from doing, and it develop the awareness. That is what you need. That awareness, moment by moment, moment by moment, moment by moment, come to a point to recognize things as it is, and through that understanding, you're going to see beyond the layers to recognize how things come to be as they are. So that is not the outside experience. You recognize how inside things come to be as they are. That means what you experience in this very being, you recognize how it come to become experience. That is the moment you get out of this cell. You get out of this capsule. You get out of this circle of doing part of the samsara. You recognize the inner experience, how it come to be experience. Mostly what we does, oh, how things come to be as they are. Oh, observe this and see how it come to be as it is. Why? Because we learn the method, study and do, but you forget the subject, observer. So observer become eternal, moment by moment, eternal. And you become a person, you can entire universe, you can see how it come to be as it is, and you can separate entire universe. But your self-centered idea become bigger than the universe. That is where we caught up in the samsara. So when you able to experience, when you just able to become be itself, your awareness become higher. In that awareness, you recognize your experience, inner experience as it is, and from there, how it come to be as it is. So what is the dependent origination within your own experience? So listen this very carefully. So once you able to experience, once you recognize your inner experience, how it come to be as your inner experience, you deconstruct all the perceptions, and then separately you need to recognize this, and separately you need to understand how this come to be as it is. Why? Because this is not separate from your inner experience. You itself already get out of the bottom level of this experience, and then itself, when you able to recognize how inside you that the very being itself, how it come to be as it is, or how this come to be as experience within inside you, this already you understand. So that is what you have to reverse the pattern and go towards that way. Not you forget the self or the subject, and then you go with the object, 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 object. You can break it, cut it, and burn it, and hit this and change the pattern, and you can put it to machine, you can boil it, burn it. People do that to understand this. You can do that. Why? Because we learn, study, and understand. Study and doing, study and doing. So for a certain level, and in this conventional life, we need it. But remember, if anybody look for beyond that, if anybody understand that this is not work for you, there is another method. So what is that method? Just be and recognize, develop the awareness. So in that awareness, that what you recognize will take you to the ultimate truth. So one day Venerable Sariputta, that he is one of the great disciples from the Buddha's Sangha community. And he was sitting in one place and he saw there was a Brahman came with the lamp. It's a daytime. And he came with the lamp and then the Venerable Sariputta asked, "Oh, what is this lamp? What does this mean?" So then Brahman told, "Because I want to do some service to others. I want to do something to others. And I want to, at night, I want to show them the road. I want to give them the light. So that's why I take this light with me." So then Venerable Sariputta asked, "So why you keep it daytime? At night, it makes sense. That's very good. But why you keep it daytime?" So then when this Brahman told, "No, because if I turn off this, I afraid to maybe I cannot, I afraid if I cannot light at night, then this light will disappear. I want to keep this light, keep lighting, because it is a risk. I'm not sure if I light it again or not." So then the Venerable Sariputta told, "See that you have the compassion to do something good to others. But the thing is, the same moment by moment, this light burning the oil, and your mind also burning with the fear. So have you ever think that this light, how long this light exists, that much you exist with the fear." So the Brahman understood. And he put the light and he bowed to the Venerable Sariputta and told, "Oh, I am so grateful you make me free from that." I understood. So what is the moral with this? And sometimes we have desire to do good, and sometimes we have desire to be good. But at the same time, that intention and hold us and make us afraid. And then that what will happen, that our goodness become kind of like a fear-based good. So then it never going to bring us to the happiness or the satisfaction, because the fear always going to become stronger, stronger, stronger. When the fear becomes stronger, naturally it leads us to mistakes. So then remember, especially when you do good, and don't allow the fear to, to build inside it. And always remember that whatever the things that you do it sake of the good. You do it on behalf of the good. You do it as much as for the good, and don't allow anything to come and overtake that goodness. So that way, that goodness will take you to the purification. So with that, I bless upon everyone with this good practice. May all of you be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to you. May no difficulties come to you. May no problems come to you. May you also have the patience, courage, understanding and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties in your life. During this time period, may everyone stay healthy and safe. And finally, may all of you attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sabbitiyo vajjantu sabbarogo vinasatu mate bhavatantarayo sukhi gayuko bhava. Ettavata cha anmi sampadang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Idam me punya kammang asavakkaya vahang hotu. Sabba dukkha pamuncatu. Bless you.